Brilliant.
Lots of drinking this weekend, huh?
Oh, dude, the pubs are open again. So I'm just trying to settle my stomach.
And see, this is what's weird about StreamYard is it shows live, but it doesn't show the count, like the time after like
It's 25 seconds.
Oh, that's weird. Oh. Anyways.
So we're live.
Welcome everyone to the 10K Rum Podcast. My name is Amos Joseph, joined by my co-host Brook Potter, who's in the UK, burping up a storm. How's it going, Brook?
Yes, it's going very gassy, bro. It's going very gassy. As you pointed out here in Wales, as of today, actually, indoor pubs are allowed to open. Indoor food places are allowed to open at, I don't know, like 50% capacity or whatever the case might be. So I actually went out into the city Saturday. I was supposed to go and do some shopping. I needed to get some decent shoes, and didn't happen. Just ended up doing like an attempt at a pub crawl. Went to 3 different places, but it's so shit. It is, you have to book a spot. They only give it to you for like an hour and a half. So, you can't just like sit down and enjoy yourself. And then we had to move somewhere else, and it's all outdoors. And when the inclement weather came in for some of these places, so we'd be at one place and it's raining somewhere else, they canceled all the bookings. So it was a real, it wasn't great. Had a good time. I was out with my friend Joanne. She came and we went out and had that stuff. Didn't do any shopping. By the time I actually got to the place with the shoes, they were closed. So that wasn't great. And then yesterday, same thing. Went out to the pubs, pissing with rain. I'm sick and tired of sitting in a pub outside and just getting pissed on by these clouds. So today, things have opened back up. I didn't go anywhere. But if you do hear me burping and other things, after 2 solid days of drinking, the little tummy have a little rumble. So we're taking it easy today. How are you doing, my friend, out there in Minnesota?
Doing good. Chugging in that little can of Coke.
Gotta get the gas up, man.
Yeah. It's going all right over here. It's really nice out today. You can kind of see the sunshine coming through. There's not really too much going on. I mean, we're kind of going towards that reopening of things. A lot more things too. Like, so right now, a lot of businesses have removed their mask signs. So, have to wear a mask to come in here. Some of them have removed them, whereas some of them are putting up different signs that say anyone with the vaccine doesn't have to wear a mask. We ask the people who have been vaccinated wear a mask. And that's kind of the thing right now, especially with the new CDC guidelines that are going around. They're definitely moving towards that. Minnesota, surprisingly, is actually half of the Minnesota population has gotten the first dose.
Okay, good.
40% has gotten both doses. So it's, those are kind of overlapping, but like Minnesota apparently is like top 3 or 4 states in the country now that have, in terms of vaccination rates and stuff. So they're kind of hoping by July, that's the hope, is by July 1st. They officially remove the mask mandate by July 1st, but most companies and businesses are already like, if you're vaccinated, just walk around and do whatever you want.
Right.
So finally, on track to something, and track to some back to normal.
It's good.
No, I think I mentioned last week. No, I probably didn't mention last week. No, I didn't. During this week, I went in for my appointment to get my blood drawn for the AstraZeneca vaccine trial. And they showed us some information, by the way. They gave us a little thing to kind of read over in regards to the like why the EU had to stop taking the AstraZeneca vaccine.
Right.
And they were kind of stating, what studies were showing what, and these were the side effects that were being observed. And they basically it was their way of basically saying, like, we acknowledge that we've seen this. We cannot deny the connection, but we have yet to really confirm any of it because it's like to find the connection is like, millions of people have already taken the vaccine. And to find these specific side effects and the connections, they just haven't found it yet. I honestly think they're probably just too lazy to find it.
No, it's not that they're lazy. They don't want to find it. That is because if they do, and the vaccine is found to have actually caused these things, they're liable. So because the government has to pay out at the end of the day. So the government is the one basically saying, and you can see the hypocrisy, right? When somebody dies from a car crash, but they were diagnosed with COVID within 14 days or whatever the case is, they died from COVID, right? But when somebody takes the vaccine and they die or they have a side effect, no, it's not the vaccine. No, it's the pre-existing conditions, right? It was the car crash. So you can see that the government double speak that is taking place in the healthcare industry.
There is some of that, yeah. But with even with the millions of people that have taken just across the board, all the vaccines, not just this one, but across the board with all the vaccines and such. Because I've heard the mistake that's been made with some people that I've talked to, where they just think, because 10 people in this one state had this one thing, therefore across the millions of people that have taken the vaccine, therefore it's just, don't do that. I think that they're doing it the right way, where there's no mandate to take the vaccine.
I agree.
Because the thing is eventually they're not really going to get, enough people are going to take the vaccine that they're just going to not care as much. They're going to just say, okay, enough people are, but essentially fulfilling this qualification of herd immunity. If we're just not going to care as much.
No, they're not going to do that at all, because the UK has done that. We have vaccinated the entire elderly population, which is the fastest dying population out here currently from COVID. Right. They're vaccinating kids that have absolutely 0.001% risk.
Right.
And they still didn't want to relax the restrictions. In fact, with the killer Vindaflu,
aren't they already kind of back on track though for you guys?
As I was about to say, because of the killer Vindaflu that's coming out of India, which is another variant, they're now talking about lockdown number 4, and we're going to be probably going back into that at some point at the end of the year.
Oh, jeez.
And the good news is the vaccine doesn't work, because Bill Maher recently, fully vaccinated, missed his show for the first time in history because he caught COVID. And there is the possibility for...
Did they say which one he took?
I don't know. Well, it's probably one of the American ones, so probably Pfizer. It might be in his report. I didn't watch it. So this is what you can see, the politicization. The vaccine never said they kept you from getting the virus. So the CDC is dangling freedom in front of you, get the shot, and you can take the face diaper off. Doesn't help. In fact,
they're not 100%. None of them are 100% effective, though. That they've
correct. Your immunity is more effective than the actual. 2 companies basically said, let people get the virus. It's better than any vaccine, right? So the fact is, because we don't know what this how effective this vaccine is, what the side effects are, more importantly, what the long-term side effects are, because that's where it gets really spicy in the animal trials. The only reason the CDC is allowing these people to do that is to encourage people to get the vaccine. But if you've already been exposed and you've already had, if you're a young person, there's no need for you to take the vaccine. But that's not what they're saying. They're kind of pushing the only way we get back to normal is if enough people get the shot. And that's just, scientifically dishonest.
Okay. I'm inclined to disagree at this point.
Yeah, wait and see. When the Vindaflu comes your way, let's see what Fauci says.
Yeah,
they're talking about
Indian
lockdowns.
Variant. There's something weird with that Indian variant that's going in, and I won't doubt that. I'm saying for most variants that we've heard about besides this Indian variant, because we don't know much about it yet, I think the vaccine it's not 100% effective. I agree to that. So Bill Maher showing up as being reinfected, That's one
It's not-
case.
No, I mean that's very common out here in Wales and stuff. We had people who traveled to Greece from the UK, and you got to do a COVID test. 60% tested positive in Greece, and they got stranded. So this is not
For vaccinated people?
Fully vaccinated people traveling. As the stipulation says, the vaccine does not keep you, under any definition, from catching COVID. It does not keep you from spreading COVID. All it does is reduce your symptoms. So you are just as infectious as everybody else, which is why the CDC saying, oh yeah, you can take your mask off, has nothing to do with any science and everything to do with, I'm tempting you to get the vaccine. Because you're just as much at risk as everybody else.
Because I haven't read anywhere that they said this reduces symptoms. They'll say it's 90-some% effective, depending upon which one you take. Like
on symptoms, not on catching it, not on
transmission. AstraZeneca was 70-some% effective.
Against symptoms.
Moderna and some of these. Oh, I didn't see his symptoms, but
yeah, and that's also put the medical speak. They're not telling you what it's effective against. Because they can't. If they actually said it's only good against symptoms, then it's not a vaccine. It's a therapeutic, right? It's ivermectin or something. We'll probably get the stream killed because of that. No, they want to sell it as a vaccine, so they can't say it doesn't actually do what a vaccine does.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll see. As I say, we are the most vaccinated country in the entire world, in terms of per capita. All of the adults and everything, for some fucking reason, they want to vaccinate babies and all kinds of shit out here. And they're still talking about lockdowns.
I mean, I got vaccinated as a baby in Taiwan for all sorts of things too.
Yeah, those vaccines actually work. I got the vaccine for yellow fever when I went to Thailand. I mean, those have been around for years, and we've tested them, and we know that they work. And yeah, of course, there's always a variation. But as I say, when they do a vaccine and let's say about 50 people die as a result or very close to having it, it's usually pulled from the market. That's not what's happening here. More people have died after having this vaccine than all other vaccines in the history of the recording that have died from those kinds of things. And it's still on the market, not to mention the blindness, the blood clots, the death.
Which one is the one that's being given in the UK?
AstraZeneca.
I thought they were... No, that was from the EU that they're pulling it, right?
Yeah, so they've paused it in the EU. I think a couple of the places have stopped it as well. But yeah, AstraZeneca. Oxford AstraZeneca is the big one out here. What's happening, Conk? Hey, Brian, what's going on, man?
We got Conk? Oh,
yeah, Conk has just jumped in. Yeah.
So,
yeah. I hope so. I hope that y'all get back to some freedom. Fuck, I hope we get back to some freedom. Yeah. But there are a lot of people getting fucking rich off this stuff, and they're very powerful, and they're connected to political people, and they kind of like the way things are going.
They're offering a lot of, I mean, granted, it's government subsidization, but they're right now they're getting to a point. I think in the next few days, a lot of clinics are switching over to free vaccines.
Okay. But
I think
free vaccines. What's
no, just so you can go in for free. You don't have to pay anything to go in.
Did you have to pay for the vaccine before?
Some of them they tried to charge it through your insurance provider. So, I think they made it part of a medical visit instead of freely given out. So there's a I'm not exactly sure on how they're doing in Minnesota. They were saying for 12 and over, they're all, walk-in appointments are accepted, and they were saying something about being free. What they'll do is basically they want you to bring your insurance card.
Yeah.
And if they can charge it, they at least have your info to give out.
Okay.
To charge to your company, have your company pay for it. If they can't, then it's just free. They're trying to make money if they can. Right. Okay. So it's kind of it's the first line is your insurance company. The second line is they pay for it. The third line is the government pays for it.
Right.
They're going through every channel they can to try to make their money back.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, it's good business. I wouldn't. I mean, it's free out here in the UK, so everybody's getting it.
Yeah. The thing is, I'll mention this. So, because of the interference so everyone kind of remembers back during the beginning of COVID, there was the whole thing about how the WHO was not really acknowledging Taiwan.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Still
they interviewed, they interviewed them and like, so China's doing this, China's doing that. Okay. What do you guys think about what Taiwan's doing? And then just like, what? Huh?
Oh, we already discussed China, shit like that.
Yeah. And then, disconnect,
Yep, exactly.
And by the way, for the chat, I just saw Brian message. I got the placebo.
Right.
I didn't mention that actually. I forgot. I didn't actually get to that point.
You were getting to that story. Yes, that's right.
Yes, I got the placebo. So that's that.
You have some decisions to make whether you actually want the real deal or not.
Yeah, no, and I'm thinking about that. There's because I'm honestly just like trying to think schedule wise, like, okay, is this worth it? All right, am I gonna have to take a day? Because like from everything I've read and people I've talked to, it's like, okay, they take a day for side effects, least. And I'm like, how bad is it gonna be? So we haven't even done that. We'll do that later. So the housekeeping stuff we'll do at the end for today because we just went right into
it. It's just it's a messed up day. Things are just all over the place.
So part of going in for the blood draw, they said we are allowed to unblind you in the study. That's what they call it. So then the doctor came in and said, "Oh, just so you know, you're in our placebo arm."
Right.
1/3 chance that was the case, and I was kind of surprised, like
because you did get a little reaction, right? You got a little flu, little thing going on.
No, I basically got what I considered like an immune response. The feeling you get in your body, that little weirdness just before you get sick, but I only had it for a couple hours.
Right.
So I wonder if it was truly like a, psychosomatic response. You're just like, I'm supposed to get something. And I feel a little funny and then I'm fine. Like my body realizes like, you're fine. So that didn't happen. And, then I got the second dose and I had no reaction. Second saline dose, basically.
Yeah. Let's hope that's what it was.
No, I asked them, I said, what is in the placebo? And they said, oh, it's just like a saline solution. I'm like,
okay.
So you guys don't have an active placebo? And they're like, no, we don't try to do that.
Okay.
Like what they'll do, I read up, like active placebos are basically, they put in certain medications that will trigger like a temporary fever. It warms up your body, makes you feel like you're having a fever, but you're not.
Yeah.
And no, they didn't even do that.
Cool.
So now the decision is if I would want to. But back to the point about Taiwan. My mother is coming.
Oh, to the States.
Yes.
Okay, beautiful.
She is going to fly directly to, so she wants to eliminate, because airports are just hubs of transmission.
Right.
Close quarters and all this, so she doesn't want to risk anything. She was taking a direct flight from Taipei to Chicago.
Okay. Long ass flight.
We're gonna 14 hours, I think.
Yeah, that's a long one, man.
And we're gonna drive out there to go pick her up.
Fair enough.
And we're gonna bring her back. And since she's a citizen and everything, she has all the proper identification. Because of the WHO and their relationship with Taiwan, you can't get a vaccine in Taiwan.
I don't understand why that would be the case.
Because of I think how it's being distributed, it's just not getting to Taiwan. Now, there are some people that are getting it in Taiwan, because I have people that I know there that were like talking about getting it. But it's not like here where it's just in every clinic you can find. You can just get it anywhere. Like with you guys too, you can get it anywhere. There it's like they're just taking it, head on.
Interesting.
And they're getting a resurgence. They're getting a Brazilian variant. They're getting they're getting some of the Indian variant that's popping up.
Yeah, we got that, the Vinda flu.
So they started getting like 100, 200 cases a day, and they're already considering going back into because they've been pretty good. They had the borders locked down, but they weren't really locking down indoors, within their
Right.
borders. Now
Mm-hmm.
that there's this resurgence and there's people transmitting these, essentially some worse variants, they're just like,
More
oh
spreadable. Yeah.
yeah, they're getting worried again. So she didn't want to deal with that so much. She wanted to come here, and she straight up just decided, I'm gonna come over there. I'm gonna spend, she's gonna spend the time with us, and she's gonna get the get whatever vaccine that she can get just to get it.
Right.
She doesn't care. She's like, I've never asked you this, but I'm not sure if you've heard. Have you ever seen the vaccine that leaves a scar?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that was polio, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was way back.
Yeah. Yeah. My mom had the scar as well.
Yeah, my mom has that.
Yeah.
So she's like, knows about all that, and was just like, she's really on board to just she wants to get here. We're gonna drive her back to Minnesota, and she's like, pretty much within a day or two, she's gonna get one of them. She's gonna get the Pfizer one. She decided, because that's a 21 day to get the second dose. Get that, and then just sounds like medical tourism in a way.
Yeah, that's a big thing. A lot of people, do medical tourism to the States.
It's to see us primarily, and she really needs to get away, especially with the lockdown, because we were planning on going to see her last year. Well, obviously couldn't.
Right.
And now there's the slightest bit of an opening. Plus, what happens is she comes here. It's funny, because if she comes here, she's going to show up at the airport, and they're going to say, where are you from? They're going to see where she's from and go, oh, we recommend you quarantine for 14 days.
Yeah.
That's it. They don't enforce it, though. Whereas if you go back to Taiwan, they're like, you go home.
Yeah.
And you talk to no one for 14 days. Well, my mom lives in a nice place. They have a lot of ways you can she can be well provided for during that time. So she's just going to go home and chill for 14 days.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fine. Nothing wrong with that. At least they'll send her home. Out here, you have to go to a hotel, and you have to pay for the tests when you come back. So it's like
they allow.
$2,000.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous.
Over there,
depending on where you come from, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, over there, it's just you can go home. You can go to a hotel if you're like a foreigner, but you can go home.
Yeah.
And there are they kind of keep. There's a way they keep track of you or something, because over there they basically everyone was praising Taiwan, but no one really acknowledged it was essentially a soft authoritarianism. Yeah, you go home. It was
full-on authoritarianism. It wasn't even that soft. People were being shamed in the streets and such.
But the thing was not many people were shamed, because the attitude of the community there is a bit different, where it's they're not here we're more defiant and we're more freedom driven and individualistic. Yeah. Over there, they're like, oh, stay home, don't spread. Okay, fine. Yeah. It's for the community. And and then they managed to go back to normal by May or June of last year for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I saw pictures of schools, no masks.
Yeah, yeah,
full schools, no masks, and then they kind of they would adjust accordingly.
Yes.
So now that there's this new strain going around and it got there, they go back to it. It's kind of the Australia's approach, where they basically kind of open and close depending upon things.
Yeah, they used to do that here. If there was a hot spot, Manchester, they'd shut down Manchester. Or if they, wherever it was. So we had regional lockdown. So the valleys where I am in Wales was a hot spot. I don't know, maybe I brought it here. And they shut us down. Yeah, they shut us down long before the national lockdown of Wales. So when I tell people I've been in Wales for 10 months and I've basically been through 4 lockdowns.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least 2 of those were not national lockdowns. They were regional lockdowns. So
the thing with the States, which is weird and it sucks, is they couldn't do that. The people would not tolerate something like that.
They can't do it in Sweden either. But at least in Sweden, they know they can't do that. So the government has no constitutional power to do that. Because
we've been having basically one long kind of hard some places, kind of not so hard in other places, kind of all over the place lockdown, and it actually has over the longer period, it's a longer strain. Because if it was just like a hard lockdown, like a really hard lockdown, and then completely open back up, then hard again, if depending upon the numbers, we probably would have gotten a bit of a break and been like, oh, okay, whatever. But now it's just this long, drawn out thing. It's like, we're not going to have you lift a ton for a week. We're going to have you lift a couple 100 pounds for a year. Now it's like,
well, I mean,
the mental strain.
Yeah, the data doesn't actually support that because again, Sweden.
Oh no, and I get that.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, the test cases will be Florida and Texas in the U.S. with this new Brazilian and the Indian strain, because I think they've basically given up everything. There's no more restrictions, back to normal. So that's kind of what's going on in Texas. So again, for Sweden keeps laughing at the rest of Europe because they've reached herd immunity, and because they have natural antibodies, they could fight off every fucking strain there is because the virus only changes like 2 or 3%. And unlike the vaccine that only teaches you to attack the spike protein, which is one part of the virus, their body can, be like, oh, well, this looks very, very close to that. We'll just chop it up and do what we did with that. So right. Sweden has basically shown all of these people that they're full of shit. In fact, there is a court case that is going through the UK right now against the government for crimes against humanity and unauthorized medical trials from, we're going to have the Nürburgrings. Basically, what the Nazis did. They did experimentation and medication without informing the public, without consent.
You mean
they're
Nuremberg.
Doing that? Yeah, because
Nuremberg. You said Nürburgring. That's the track in Germany.
Oh, sure, yeah,
it's a track.
Yeah,
so
that's a real thing. They're actually fighting through the courts right now with charges for genocide and the violation of human rights because they had no authority, no science. Even to this day, there's no authority and no science. And they've subjected, of course, the vast parts of the population to this vaccine without full medical knowledge.
Lawsuit against COVID vaccine in the UK?
No, it's I'll find the thing for you because if you look in Google, you're never going to find it.
Oh, COVID vaccine. You can't sue Pfizer or Moderna over side effects. Really?
Yeah. They're all protected. They all have. So it's the government, and that's why the government does not want people to link deaths and side effects to the vaccine because they're on the hook for the payout.
It's weird. Some say you can sue, some say you can't sue.
I mean, if it's clearly, like they can say yes. Look, they did the autopsy, and it's definitely the vaccine.
Well, not even autopsy, just a vaccine, a side effect that's going to have like permanent damage or long-term effects that are very clearly indicated.
But they have, But and a few, even with the immunities of the other places, a couple people still sued, but the government is on the hook. So like in the UK, if you have a bad reaction, you get like 120,000 pounds. They've been paying it out like Tic Tacs. Now they're coming up with something stupid and basically saying you have to be at least 60% disabled. So you're blind in one eye, you go blind from the vaccine. It's only one eye. It's only 50%. No, fuck you.
You gotta be a little bit blind in the other eye too.
Yeah, you gotta be a little bit blind in the other one. So yeah. There we go. Let me see if I can find this thing. But that's what's going on. Where did I read that article? So there's actually a global campaign. As I say, you're probably not. Where can I send it? I'll send it in the private chat.
Yeah.
Of these doctors, lawyers, and others that are basically saying, look, this is mass, medical experimentation without full knowledge and consent. And you're coercing people into taking this stuff. That's a violation of human rights. That's what the Nazis did. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. They're doing it all over the world. It started in the UK as well. So we'll see. I guess maybe I could put it in the chat if I don't know. Let's see. I'm pretty sure that Facebook is probably going to either kill the stream or remove that link. Yeah. Fascinating stuff. So have you been hearing about the UFOs?
A little bit.
Yeah, this is not a time to read the article, bro. We're in a show. You can check it out.
No,
later.
I clicked. I loaded it up and then I brought it back.
Yeah.
Computer was not liking loading it. Anyways, so
you
yeah,
cannot find that article like from Google and stuff. It's all like if you post it on Facebook within minutes, it's gone and shit. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. But yeah, the UFOs, man, that's pretty exciting. I think like the Pentagon is basically complaining about UFOs fucking up their airspace.
Yeah, it's I saw videos and pictures of people talking about it and people posting pictures about it. You know, the UFOs and stuff. I guess this is best time as any to show up.
Yeah, they've come to invade when Earth is at its weakest.
Yeah.
How crazy would that be? That would be so cool.
Yeah. Speaking of crazy. So and I wanted to kind of it's a bit of a side topic, but I mean I've talked to you a little bit about it beforehand. So we talked about last week when I had I went to the Libertarian Convention, the state convention for Minnesota, and the story did not end with just me not getting elected into their part of their committee, their executive committee. But what's really interesting is there's been I shouldn't talk about it this way. Similar events have been happening across the country as well.
Yes.
Where there's a really big boost in membership in a lot of what we call state affiliates. So like Pennsylvania, Texas, all the other states that have libertarian parties. And it's just really interesting. Like because I'm not really concerned one way or the other. I just want to see like what's the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, like a lot of like what happened at our convention and what's happened at many other conventions is like in the party you've got like different people. You've got the pragmatists. You've got the there's like a pragmatist caucus. There's the outright. I'm going to be clear because I say that too quick. People think I'm saying alt-right.
Yes.
Outright caucus, which is basically the LGBT wing of the party. And then there's there's even Spike Cohen started the Waffle House caucus. That's just
just
have you been to a Waffle House?
No, I've never. I know what it is, but no, I've never been to a Waffle House.
It is such a weird it's decent food. It's okay food. I should say it's okay food.
Okay food. Okay.
The experience is really what it is. It's not so much like, oh, it's really good food or really good this. It's just the experience of it.
Right.
So you got all these caucuses, but you have what's called the Mises Caucus, which is they've
From
been
the
around.
Mises Institute.
Yeah, but they've only been around like 3 years. I didn't even know this. I thought they've been around longer.
Oh, okay, interesting.
But they've been basically raising a lot of money. They've been growing affiliates, so they'll do a lot of help with like growing, membership of like state or county or even nationally, the membership. And what's been going on is basically people have observed for this year, this last year for all the state conventions, is they have a lot of their members showing up and sort of pumping up the voting base for their people. They want to get people that they believe should be in these executive committees and so on, candidates and all this. But what's been happening, which is really odd, and this is obviously fully within the laws, their bylaws they have, is they'll show up, and usually a lot of them are showing up and they're becoming members within a window they'll have. A lot of these parties will have like, you cannot vote on these things that we decide in the party or run for these positions unless you have been a member for so many days. For Minnesota, it's like 45 days because we're a small party. There's a lot.
You don't want to be overrun. Yeah, you don't want another
45
state rushing
days
in
for
on
Minnesota because we're a smaller party and our membership still kind of fluctuates. Whereas like this last weekend, Pennsylvania has a 180-day rule.
Right. Yeah, makes sense.
Some states have even a full year before you can ever vote on anything.
Yeah, and I mean, you see, exactly what has happened in Minnesota is exactly why they have those rules.
So they have these rules, and what happens is every now and then, depending upon the party, if there's like a surge of new voters, new members, they will waive those rules because maybe like for example, for Minnesota, we didn't have a lot of people trying to run for these positions again. There were a handful of, like, I think it was like treasurer. No one contested that election, so we just voted to approve. Just say like we skipped the ballot voting and just on the floor propose a motion to just vote. Just do we agree that we're just going to vote her in? Aye. Okay. No
yeah.
We'll just
brilliant.
Yeah.
What happened if she got an A? That would have been an interesting.
Yeah,
take.
you don't want to be the only one that's saying nay.
But yeah.
But you would. So anyway, so what can happen is, can we waive? Sometimes they'll waive this however many day rule, depending upon the state, for the sake of like trying to get more people to run.
Yeah.
So in Minnesota, we waived that rule for the chair run, because there was only one person contesting that. And then for other positions, there was no vote for that. Then for at large, so there's 8 positions. 10, we waived it. Sorry, we moved to waive it, but that motion failed. But we still managed to get like 10 people.
Yeah.
To run
for the position. Yeah.
Yeah, and then to fill 8 positions. Now that basically went through, and they were elected and everything. But then a couple days later, a challenge came forth.
Right.
And they emailed everyone to say, there's a challenge that has come forth from a member that has where we're going to have to go through it. So the Judicial Committee has to step in.
Right.
Apparently, the Judicial Committee never does anything.
It's like, holy fuck, we got to do work now.
No. This is not.
Put the drugs down, guys. Put the guns down.
This is not.
Tucker's got to go.
This is not a dig at the Judicial Committee at all. It's just with how things typically are run, they really don't have to rule on anything.
Yeah, I get it.
So they did that for that. And while this is all, they have 30 days to do this. While that's all going on, over here in Pennsylvania, they have a 180-day rule.
Yeah.
And there was a move for them to waive that rule. The motion failed. And as a result, like 250 new members that just showed up didn't get to vote.
Right.
A majority of those being from the Mises Caucus. So,
yes. I mean, that is why that rule exists, so that a bunch of people don't jump the state border or whatever, just come for the day and influence politics where they're not really involved and active. So yeah, it makes sense.
But I mean, by getting their own people in, it would require them to be active and such. But yeah, you
got to follow the rules. Yeah,
it's like we want the reasoning, and it applies to everyone. Is we want to see history that you have. You're paying dues of the party, you're showing up to events and all this stuff. Like, we want to know that you're here. You're not just buying up votes, so to speak.
Yes.
But this has been happening all across the country. Is different state affiliates are all showing up. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't get through. But so this has a lot of people in the party concerned. For me, the best I say about it is, this is really weird.
Right.
Like, when you're saying it's not a takeover, but it kind of is. When you have to waive rules to get your people elected. Now, granted, it's all legal. It's all within the laws. You can waive these rules if you can get the people to pass it. But if you can't, and then you complain that you can't get people in, well, that's just on you.
Correct. It's kind of like what happened in your November election, where everybody just changed the rules and so many votes came in.
Yeah. It's funny. something actually had like that happen between Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
I got to get the exact story. It's a friend of mine out in Pennsylvania that was talking about this mayoral run that's going on, and basically a candidate was wanting to get like the nomination or the support of the Democratic Party.
Right.
So the delegates voted for him to like, we're going to give him the nomination, and everything looked good until the next day.
Okay.
A bunch of delegate votes showed up overnight.
Right.
Between Democrats, not even between like a Democrat and Republican. And
one has access to the machine, the other one doesn't.
Well, in those, I don't know what they would do on that low of a level. They might just do like paper ballots. Like when we at the Minnesota convention for libertarians, it was literally just anonymous ballots. We're given a little sheet of paper, write a name on, they count it.
Yeah.
So then this mayoral candidate decided, I think, to run independent, basically.
Right. Right.
So it was just like, what? But it was just funny, like all this interesting voter stuff. So can't say it too out loud because we might.
No, you can't. We love our YouTube overlords. We can't say, the elections were fine. All of these elections, of course, are completely above board and nothing funny. Most secure elections in the world.
Yeah.
So now that we've appeased the gods, have you heard Ted Cruz and his comments from the Senate about the HR 1 voter bill?
Yeah, HR 1's a freaking mess.
I think it is HR 1. So now they want to basically take control of every election at the federal level.
The thing about HR 1, I think I remember even like part of it, doing research and stuff for Spike Cohen, we found out about HR 1 and basically just pointed out and it wasn't just libertarians that are calling it out. It was even like the Green Party.
Yeah.
Was calling it out. I'm like, the guys who are straight up like the Green Party, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much.
Are like, hey, this ain't looking good. Like, yeah. So, yeah. I mean, I haven't looked too much into exactly. I mean, it's kind of it's not an omnibus, but it's pretty much just a bunch of bills rolled into one in a way, isn't it?
Well, pretty much all since they got rid of earmarks in legislation, right? So somebody thought it would be a great idea to pass legislation to ban earmarks. What you get instead is basically massive omnibus bills. So all the same fucking spending they did for the earmarks is now just shoved into this one bill. So it makes no difference. If you think you're going to stop corruption at that level, get fucking real. But yes, so it legalizes ballot harvesting. It removes all signature and ID verification. No voter ID laws. It pre-registers individuals once they turn 16. It allows illegals to vote. It allows prisoners to vote. Amongst an unlimited mail-in ballot capacity, which is where all the funny business is.
It's weird, the ID law thing. I've heard a lot of interesting ideas about it. Like, people want to say, well, it's racist, or
they say it's racist,
it's bigot, or whatever. But really, I mean, IDs aren't that expensive to make. They're pretty cheap to make, from my understanding.
In most ID states that require it for voting, they give it to you for free.
Exactly. So, and because they're not really expensive, like,
no. You got your ID, you got a passport, you got a driver's license, and maybe some places have a national ID card. So Trinidad had a national ID card, which
national ID is tricky because people are trying to balance between nationalizing an ID versus just the practical application of having an ID.
Yeah, I get it.
Most people have, I think, with voter ID laws, actually, didn't voter turnout go up in some places because of voter ID laws?
Yeah. In fact, where was it? And the Democrats actually did better in whatever state it was. I can't remember where that was. So it was record turnout, and the Democrats actually did better. And, as you say, a lot of people say it's racist because that's the soft bigotry of lower expectations, because the browns and the blacks are too stupid to get ID and they're disenfranchised.
I haven't heard any argument about it being racist without then making it more racist.
Without making it more racist, right? What you've actually said is it's racist. And then, of course, they say, well, it's out of reach and whatever. And, of course, that's not the case because every major city has a DMV and, a passport office. And minorities tend to flock in major cities, right? So it's actually disenfranchising the white people who are in the country that have to go into the cities to get ID. So all of these arguments...
Or drive ridiculous distance across county to do it.
To get a passport or whatever the case might be. So all of these arguments either make it more racist, like the soft bigotry of low expectations, or it actually affects white people more so. So it's a complete farce. And the thing is, most minorities, like 80%, maybe 70%, I think 80 might be a bit high, but some places it might be higher. They want voter ID for the sole reason that, especially since so many people have been disenfranchised, they want to make sure that their vote counts. And if you remove all the security around a legitimate vote and you allow an illegal or somebody who's not entitled to vote and come and cancel your vote, that's how you disenfranchise people.
Speaking of which, I just remembered I have to get my driver's license renewed this year. We get them renewed once every 4 years. So,
yeah, I think ours is 5. I think it's 4 when you're younger. As you cross 25, I think they stretch it out to like 5 years. That's good news,
4.
actually.
Yeah, they do 4 every year. 4 passports. Freaking 10 years.
Yeah, when I was younger, it was 5, and I just got a 10-year passport. Well, both of them.
I think I'll have to get mine renewed or something. If I travel at any point, I'll probably won't get, to be honest, I think I lost my passport.
but I
haven't
tried. You could do a replacement.
But the last time I really needed it was when we traveled. What was to Taiwan? That was 2016.
Yeah.
And I remember I got my new passport just before you and I went to Thailand.
Right.
That
okay.
Was 10 years.
2012. So, yeah.
So you do the math. Might as well get a new one.
just renew it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the same thing. I have to renew. I think the Trinidad passport expires next year. Or is it this year? Better double check that. One of the two. And the British passport expires in 2022. So that'll be 10 years since I got my citizenship.
Right.
And it's, even on the driver's license thing, I don't know if I shared this or not. I passed my theory exam again. Right. It's actually a very good system out here because they have an app. So anybody knows it's multiple choice, right? It's 50 questions, multiple choice. You got 57 minutes to do the entire exam. Most of the questions are pretty obvious.
You take the test on an app?
No, you take it on a computer, but there's an app that helps you study, which basically has pretty much all the 700 questions that they're going to ask you and a couple video examples. So I have a fantastic memory. So I fucking memorized the answers to all 700 questions, right?
Jesus.
And I mean, it's multiple choice. Like most of them are
what
obvious.
Was your score?
So out of 50, I actually did worse on the questions than I did last time. Last time I got 48 out of 50. This time I got 47 out of 50. I was so disappointed.
Sorry.
All the humanity. And the reason was there were actually 2 questions that were not in the app.
What
I got caught
How
up.
many do you need to write to pass? Minimum?
Oh, you got to get 43. So I had plenty of room to spare. So you could get 7 wrong on that.
86%.
86%. No, 83%. So yeah.
36?
43. You could get 7 wrong.
43, 86.
Yeah, 86%. Okay, yeah, you double it, right?
Yeah.
So, what was I saying? But there's another side to the exam, which is something called the hazard perception test. And what that is they play like a 2-minute video of driving on the road, and in the midst of that scenario, something is going to happen in there that's going to require you to stop or slow down. So, you might see a dog suddenly, starts running across the road, or, an old lady's at the stop at the crosswalk, and then she jumps into the road before you get there. So, stuff like that. And what you have to do is you have to click the minute you notice it. And there's a countdown from the minute the scenario starts. You got a 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And depending on how quickly you click, the higher the score. So if you catch it immediately, you get a 5. If you catch it at the end, you'll get a 1. So out of that, there are 14 of them. One of them had 2 hazards. You had to get at least 44. And on my last exam, I got 60, and this time I got 63. So it kind of balanced out. Like I kind of just matched my performance from last time. And with a 60 and above, with a hazard perception 60 and above, I can qualify for a truck license, like a lorry, like a big van, 18-wheeler. Oh, I could technically apply for a lorry license. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm good enough to see, for a lorry driver.
It's fun that, because I just remember our theory test is nowhere near that thorough.
No,
it's 40 questions and you need to get 33 correct or something.
Yeah,
this is weird. Now, never ever do anything like this, but it happened to me. I was between jobs and I had a lapse in car insurance, and
right,
got pulled over in that little window.
Oh, I have a story like that as well. It's worse than yours.
And so the cop's like, well, you can't go anywhere. Like, I need you to stay here. And I'm like, he's like, you need to buy insurance somehow. And I'm like, and then he drove off and I'm like, I'm going home. But with that, what happens in Minnesota is you get your license revoked for 30 days. But I was working at the time and I needed to, I needed a license. So I got like a special license that'll only allow me to drive a certain amount, and I only ever drove my work vehicle, so it was like fine. But during all that, what happens is your license is revoked, but what you have to, at the beginning of the 30 days that it's revoked, you need to take a theory, basically what we call the written test, or theories you would call it.
Yes, the theory
and
test,
they did it on the computer. And they were like, you ready to take it? I'm like, wait, what? We're taking it now? I didn't study at all. And I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
So I sit down and I'm just clicking away. And I'm like, I think I got the absolute minimum you needed to pass.
Good.
Just off of my top of my head. Like, so we got it done. And, got my license back and I haven't had any problems since. But it's just like, all right,
I mean, the bureaucracy is such a pain in the eye. And the guy was so cheeky when I went in. He's there explaining everything. I know he's got to talk. It's like, bro, I've done it before. I did it like 2 years ago. It expired because of COVID and whatever. And he's like, well, a lot can change in 2 years. It's like, no, it fucking doesn't. The roadsides don't change every 2 years. The rules are the goddamn same.
They say, like, if you don't take a lot of these tests in a while, you develop bad habits. So when you go back to take a test, like, you do all the bad habits and they, like,
on
you for it.
Yeah.
But
in the driving test. Yeah.
But even I think with most of that, like, you're in a different mindset when you're taking a test. So you start, like, all the old good habits that you're supposed to have, you just remember them. Like, oh, you're more cautious, you're looking around, you do your 10 and 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
And or what is it they do now? Freaking 8 and 5, whatever.
yeah, holding it at the bottom.
That's supposed to be the safe way, because it's like
it doesn't block your view or something.
No, it's about the airbags. So if the airbag goes off, you don't want your hands, because what has happened before, like they'll give you some like sob story, which most likely happened. Like some girl who was like a volleyball player, and she has a pretty face, and she was wearing a watch, and then it like ripped her face off or some shit.
Right. Of course, that's always how it happens.
And she's not pretty anymore, and it's like, oh, okay.
yeah. That's how. I mean, for me, as I said, I've been driving for 20 years, and it's exactly what you say. Like, 10 and 2, you gotta be fucking kidding me, man. I'm driving with one hand. In fact, when I was driving the first time with the instructors, the way I turned the steering wheel, he said he'd never seen anybody do that before. So I have all of those bad habits, but I am an exceptionally safe driver. I've never had any kind of incident apart from where people have run into me. And my story with no insurance, I was pretty poor. I was financially strapped and I let it lapse. And I actually ran into a cop. And anyway, that situation did not end very well, right? So I ended up paying a lot of money to make that problem go away. But yeah, coming out here, I have to drive like an idiot, right? I had basically, if you got to do a 3-point turn, I've got to do, adjust the mirrors. I got to do this. I got to do that. Normally I just, fucking put my hand on the thing and spin it with one hand and I'll like zip into the spot. No problem. No. You can't do that. You got to do all the steps. And then talking to the driving instructor, I said, all of this extra stuff you all have me doing is worse, right? It is more distracting. Like always checking the mirror and we have to do like a 6-point. You got to look and go over your shoulder. And you have to physically turn your eyes away from the road.
I think, what was the one they gave us? I just remembered some acronym they gave us.
Well, in terms of the mirrors, right? There's some kind of, I don't know what it's called, but yeah, all of that.
Smog,
what's that?
So
side mirror.
Nope.
Oh, what is that?
So if you want to turn, always use smog. Signal, mirrors, over the shoulder, and go.
Yeah, we have the same kind of thing here.
So like, just remember, guys, smog.
Yeah. So even the driving instructor said the same thing. Is like, look, this is bullshit. You just got to pass the test. And he admitted it. He said, yeah, all of these, you got to keep your eye on the speed. You got to look out for this, that, and the other and stuff. And if you're constantly having to remind yourself to check the mirrors every like 5 minutes or whatever it is, that's distracting. That's actually taken away for me. I'm experienced. So, I mean, I'm pretty road aware, but for a new driver, it's not great, and that's what pisses me off, where I'm wasting time on something that's not necessary. So yeah, hopefully I'll just get it done and, then I'll buy myself a nice little car and I'll be able to drive the hills of Wales, which would be nice.
What kind of car do you think you'd be driving there?
Oh, I'm, I don't need to drive to work. I don't need any of these kinds of things. So I was thinking about this. I want to get a nice small 2-seater car, probably like an old Audi TT, like from 2021 or like 2002, kind of 2003, old car. Pick it up for like 600 to 1,000 pounds. It's like nothing, because I have two issues. One, I don't have no claim bonus insurance in the UK because I haven't been driving here for any length of time. So I'm gonna get jammed with high insurance, basically like a newbie driver, because my history from Trinidad doesn't come across.
2003, that still looks really nice.
It's a nice looking car, man. Yeah, some of them are better than others.
Like it's gonna look like it's worth more than 1,000 pounds.
Yeah, it looks good. It's small because I don't have anybody to drive around with. If I get a girl, that's kind of all I want. And I don't encourage people asking me for rides. And I want a convertible, so when I'm driving in the summer, music going, I can enjoy myself, right? But it's going to be a cheap ass car. It's going to be, as low as I can go, at least for a while, because I know I'm not going to drive it to work every day. It's just going to be sitting on the street for most of that time. So I'm just going to let the insurance build up and whatever. And if I move back to London, which is a possibility, or somewhere else, then I might consider getting a better car. But yeah, that's it. I'm being strategic and I'm trying to spend as little money as possible on these things.
Let's see. Quattro? No, coupe.
Yeah, the Quattro is the 4-wheel drive. I've always liked the Audi. The Audi TTs are nice. If I could get a new one, oh god, that'd be great. Then I'd really be pulling in the chicks.
Jesus, just give me a price.
What are you on? You're on Auto Trader?
Kelly Blue Book.
It's kind of the same thing.
Just to give me like an idea of like how much. Oh wow, they're still pretty spendy at 2000 something.
2003,
2003, 2004. It's like $15,000.
for what? Is that because there's the top end would be the Rally Sport, the RS model, the Quattro, and then you can get like the normal TT that doesn't have the 4-wheel drive.
I just went with Quattro Roadster with 225 horsepower, TT 1.8. Yeah, like 15,000, 18,000. Wow. Maybe it's just because it's like, I don't know. These are really nice cars in general.
It's probably because it's imported into the US. It's more expensive.
Yeah. And something that is in that good a condition at 2003 is probably, I'm looking through dealerships too. So they have to maintain a certain, let's see.
I mean, I could share my screen really quick and I'd show you. Let me see if I can.
Yep.
Can I do that? There we go. Let's see if this works. Yeah. 2002, 650 pounds.
180,000 miles. Though. See, some of these are like around 100,000 miles, like right there.
Right.
Dealerships aren't going to keep in stock like high mileage vehicles.
No. This is going to be a secondhand purchase that I'm buying from someone. So this is kind of like what I'll look to spend. It's going to cost me about £1,000 worth of insurance. I don't want £1,000 more than the car, right? So I'm going to look to buy.
Yeah. And here's the thing too. So 2020 Audi TT, 45 grand.
Yeah. If you get the fully stocked one, it's like £65,000 out here. It's sexy as hell, though. It is a beautiful car. But no, I'm not going to be using it that often. So it's just a waste of money.
Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah. Convertible, $49,000.
Yeah. They're nice, man. They're very, I prefer the Audi to the BMW. You could get like the Z4, which is their roadster.
Ooh, yeah. That's literally what popped up. BMW Z4.
Yeah, the Z4. Very nice, sexy car.
$49,700. Jeez.
So when the podcast starts really making the money, starts really making the monies, you and I will get ourselves some very nice cars. That's what's going to happen there, guys.
Yeah, I'm going to be that really like shitty guy that's just going to like I still haven't learned how to drive a manual.
You don't know how to drive manual?
No, I've never had to drive one.
Yeah, that's very strange. Americans don't have a lot of manual cars. That's very odd.
Well, we do. Like they're no short supply of them. We're just not taught to drive them as much, especially my generation.
Yeah.
Millennials and beyond. And even a handful of Gen X, like just before me generation. Yeah,
my generation.
Yeah, but a lot of us just don't. I could kind of guess how to do it, but I don't want to risk that. Like I would need a day for someone to like show me how to do that, to like properly do it. And then it would just be getting used to that. I know like I've been able to kind of play around with certain cars that have like they have like a so it's not like, a clutch and a stick, so it's like certain controls where you can control what gear you're in.
Yeah, like a floppy paddle, Steptronic
floppy
system.
Paddle, or like a button or something. Like my car can do that. But that's it. That's mainly for like if I'm, with all the traveling I've done, like dealing with different terrain.
Yeah. I mean, that's why you drive manual. As if I would have thought in Minnesota it would have been more so because it's better control in the snow. So that's why a lot of Europeans tend to. It's very, very common to drive manual out here.
Yeah, if you're dealing with a lot of hills. See, Minnesota is so flat.
Yeah, I suppose that might make
sense. So snow really becomes a braking problem then. Yeah. So you learn how to pump your brakes, or you make sure you have anti-lock braking.
Yeah, ABS.
You have your ABS and stuff. Otherwise, or make sure you knowing how to turn off traction control if you're stuck.
Right. Yeah, to let the wheels give.
Yeah, because there's been instances with my car. It's just it's got more computers in it than it needs to have, but I just can't go. I can't move in a parking lot
Right.
simply because it figures like, well, your wheels are going to spin, and I can't let you do that. And I'm like, no, I do want to spin my wheels because I need to get out of here.
Yeah, you
I'm
can't
sitting
exactly
there.
move
I'm
without
sitting
spinning
there
the
in a
wheels.
yeah. I'm sitting there in a drive-through, and I'm like, I need to spin my wheels because they haven't plowed this drive-through yet, or whatever. It's just like
Yeah.
I need to go.
I mean, I do worry about driving in snow and ice because I have zero experience with that. So that I respect tremendously that you're able to like read the terrain and do that.
I've told you, like, when I went to Oregon back
Yes.
in 2016, I went for the friend's wedding. So all these guys are from like California.
Right.
They were all from
Sunshine
California,
State.
except for me, and we're up in Oregon and we had to go to this. So we were going from Medford, which is where one of the airports is, into Klamath Falls. So it's like in the mountains.
Mhm.
And so we picked up I forgot exactly what car it was. It was a Dodge something. Anyways, like a regular car, 4-door. And so there's, 5 guys in the car, and they're like, we're renting the car, and they're saying, okay, we need to, take care of this. Like, what are we going to do? And then, like, do we need to get chains?
Yeah, I remember you telling
Like,
me this story.
yeah, well, it's going to cost more. And I wasn't, I was like pretty tight on the budget, like with the whole trip. And I'm like, so I was like, no, we don't need chains.
No, no
And they're
chains.
like, and they're looking at me like, even the lady who was running at the front desk, she's looking at me like, are you sure? And I'm like, I'm Minnesotan. She goes, I don't know what that means. And I'm like, I'm from Minnesota. We don't drive with chains.
In
We
the
just
snow.
drive.
We just go.
Like if it's like glaring ice for a
Yeah.
long period, typically yes, but we typically deal with that. And I'm like, all right, so we start driving, and I mean it took us like a little over an hour, maybe an hour and a half. I don't remember how long. Anyways, it took us a while, and we got through.
Cool. You drove, obviously.
I drove the whole way. Like
Good
I was,
man.
and I'm sitting there like we're going, and I'm just because you get a feel for the whole thing. So we're going down hills, we're going on like these turns, and it's just like this packed down snow, which is like kind of ice, but not really. It's just it's weird.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going like 40 miles an hour, going around turns, no banking, just go. And
Wow.
the groom is in the passenger seat, and he's
holding on for dear life.
And I'm like, we're good, but I'm sitting there talking to him. I'm talking to him. He's like, hey, and I look over, hey, you okay? He goes, dude, look at the road. Just focus on the road. I'm like, we're good, buddy.
No, I respect it, bro. Snow, I'm not looking forward to it, but I'm gonna go out in it. I have to kind of face my fear kind of thing. I gotta just get into it and try it out and stuff. So
I've had some really interesting close calls.
Oh, hey Betty, good for you to join us.
I could tell you about how this last winter. So I didn't even know this, like the result of this. But I was driving, we'll just say a little bit too fast, but it was like 30, 40 miles an hour.
Okay.
On a regular road, and it was just some snow just happened, and a guy in front of me just stopped
suddenly.
And well, not. I should have been paying a little more attention. I could have avoided it, but this is what happened. He stopped.
Yeah.
I can't stop.
Right.
One lane.
Oh, right. And you can't go around him. Yeah. Okay.
And he's turning a left. To the right of me is the sidewalk, but there's snow.
Yeah. Yeah, your braking distance is slowed. You went onto the sidewalk.
I basically kind of braked and kind of drifted off to the side. I could feel my tires went whoop.
Went up onto the.
Went into the sidewalk, and I just felt like a rumble, and then I just went back under the road in front of him.
So you basically passed him on the sidewalk. Brilliant.
It was
brilliant.
it was a place where you wouldn't have a lot of pedestrians, and it just happened.
Yeah. I get that.
And I pulled over and I looked back. I'm like, okay,
is he all right?
Everything's okay. I didn't hit it. I just barely
missed him by inches, man, by the hair on your balls.
Literally. So I get out, and a couple of months later, I'm getting an oil change, and we're one of those shops that has like an under thing, so they're like working from under your car.
Right.
They have
They got
a bay that's underneath.
Yeah.
Pit. Yeah. So they're like, hey, one of our technicians noticed something with your car. I'm like, what's going on? He goes, there's supposed to be a plate down here that kind of protects certain areas. It's gone. I was like, what do you mean it's gone? He goes, we see it probably broke off. It's not a big deal. Like your car is fine.
Yeah.
It's just kind of it's a nice to have, like,
yeah, a protective kind of thing, you know.
Like, oh,
somewhere on a pavement somewhere is a plate from your car.
I mean, I don't know how big it is, but it was just, oh, okay.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I had a moment where I did a little drifting in the rain.
Right.
And I almost
hydroplane.
It was a weird hydroplane, and I thought I almost went off into a ditch.
Right.
I was like feet away from a ditch. There was another time I was driving on ice.
Yeah.
On a freeway.
Ooh.
And I realized I couldn't. Well, I wasn't going any crazy speed. I was maintaining following distance, but this guy in front of me just started slowing down, and he had more control, and I was getting really close to him.
Right.
And I'm like, and I gently tap on the brakes, and I can just feel I'm sliding.
It's skidding. Yeah.
And I'm like, so I'm like holding on, and I'm doing one of these, and I'm like, like I'm yelling, and I'm looking around. We're getting real close. We're slowly getting it. I'm not like crashing.
Yeah, you're not gunning it. Yeah.
And I look over, and I see it. There's a left lane that's open, and I just kind of
drift into the left,
and I just slide past him.
Oh my god! I'm not looking forward to that. That is, I think they say out here you're supposed to give like 10 times the stopping distance. So whatever that is, I'm probably gonna do like a lot of distance when I get into the snow finally.
You don't want to slam on the brakes. You want to just lightly touch it.
But that's why I like the Audi, the Quattro system. If I actually got the 4-wheel drive, at least I figure I have a little more control because it's all the tires going. So yeah, I'm basically planning for snow. Like, what is the best car to get me through snow?
There have been situations in the Midwest, specifically Minnesota, Wisconsin area, even like the Dakotas and Iowa. Sometimes you'll find these. It's really crazy. Never seen it, but it has happened where you get multi-car accidents.
Oh, like, yeah, I've seen videos of that kind of
40, 50 cars just crashing into each other. And it's not like, I mean, they're not going fast to begin with, so it just becomes
just a skid.
It's just like, oh, there's like, all right, well, I mean, it's just below you're totaling your car.
Yeah.
But it's pretty bad. And it's just people going at 30, 40 miles, not like 20, 30 miles an hour, just
can't stop
crashing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you'll get like really bad weather and you can't see.
Yeah. Sometimes you can't even move after that. Yeah. You're done.
And then it's just 40 cars crashing into each other. And then you just got to wait until everyone stops. Yeah.
I've seen videos of that. Again, not looking for, I don't think in the UK, we don't get snow that badly, which is pretty cool. We might get one pretty bad this year because this has been a very cold spring. Yeah. It's probably going to be a very cold summer. So I think the winter might be pretty serious out here. And I'm in the valleys, right? So there's hills all around. The roads go up and down mountains. It is a bit dicey. So I'm kind of weighing it out at the end of the day. But I mean, I've driven with people through snow out here, and it's not terrible. But yeah, hopefully we don't get any 40 car pileups.
Our snow though. You haven't seen our snow though.
I mean, I know it's thick. I've been there when it snowed. When I went up to our friend's place up in the north. So I see how thick it can be, and how the roads have to be plowed and they salt it and all that kind of stuff. So yeah. I mean, even in Kansas, when I was in Kansas with our friend, there was some pretty fucking epic snow, man. And well, he was just fearless, he's like driving like he's got this massive 70s car and he's like drifting all over the road. He didn't give a shit. But that was definitely a sight to behold.
Yeah. We're talking about snow here in this.
We've reached the weather. What are we talking about? Was it Invincible?
So So the show Invincible. It's based off a comic book and it's on Amazon Prime.
Yes,
I watched it week after week, just keeping up with the episodes. A couple of people I know have also just binged through it now that it's done.
Yes,
which is what I did. It's already renewed for 2 more seasons.
Yes, I've seen that as well.
So it's a graphic novel.
Hey Tom, good to have you with us, bro.
Graphic novel based. It's kind of like it's a cross between Marvel and DC in a way, if you look at all the tropes.
Yeah, exactly.
But it has a whole completely different story to it. Like,
yes.
So
are we going to get into spoilers? Anybody hasn't seen the show?
Yeah, spoiler alert, everyone.
Spoiler alert.
The show's called Invincible. So first I want to get your impression. You watched the whole thing. What did you think of it?
Yes. I'm admitting I'm a little superheroed out with all of these different kind of things. So I mean, I was, I had some time. I was getting into it. I was watching it, and I kind of had it on in the background at one point. I was on my phone. I was doing all kinds of stuff. I wasn't really paying attention. It took me a couple of tries, and I would restart it and be like, no, I gotta pay attention. It took me about 2 or 3 days to kind of really get into it, and it was, for me, it was very predictable. Like the minute I saw the big fight in the beginning, I was like, oh, well, I know why he's done that. So that was never really a mystery.
The first episode?
Yeah, where what was his name? Omni-Man.
He fights
basically takes on their equivalent of a Justice League.
Yeah. You knew that was happening?
I knew exactly. The minute his son got powers, I was like, oh yeah, of course. Him and his son are gonna, take over. That's what he's thinking. So the minute I saw that, I was like, oh, okay. Huh. I mean, what else could it be, right? It's like, yeah, obviously his son and him now are gonna team up and take over the world, right? That is the mission. Right. So I saw that and I was kind of like, huh. And guys, that is the spoiler in the show. So I was kind of like, huh, okay. So it was very predictable for me. It was enjoyable after the third kind of run through, but nothing really kind of caught me like, wow. It was kind of like, yeah, this is what it is. This is very predictable writing. It was good at the end of the day, though. I did enjoy it and how it played out in the end. So I'm glad to hear they've renewed it. But yeah, it was decent. It was decent. I've seen that kind of story done a little bit better, but it was still good. Yeah, the memes have been fantastic. yeah, exactly. So I don't know if people haven't seen that. Yeah, there's the scene at the end with Omni-Man and his son, and he's trying to reason with him, and he's there like, think about it, and that's been ported into everything from Kamala Harris screaming at Joe Biden to everything in between.
There's one where it's like Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's like, I told you I had the high ground, Anakin. Think, Anakin, think. Yeah.
The one with Kamala is like, I didn't sleep my way to the top here to wait for the presidency,
No, it's, I mean, for me, so I saw a lot, like people were posting clips of the first episode, like all over the place. So I saw the fight scene for the first episode, and the
action was brilliant.
Like when he fought what is it? What
are they called?
Guardians of the Globe.
Guardians of the Globe. That's it.
And I was so confused. I'm like, why is he fighting these guys? And then I watch it and I go, okay, makes sense. Now, me being me, I'm not like, spoilers are kind of a weird territory for me because sometimes I care, sometimes I don't.
Yes, yeah.
So I'm sitting there just Googling like the comic book.
Right.
And they're like, oh yeah, he's Omni-Man is this alien. Okay, so we see that. And, he has these beliefs. He has these thoughts about like, why he's there and all this. And I'm like, oh, that makes sense. So I'm watching this through, and then like explains like what's going on, and eventually, he gets found out and all this, and but then he is, at the end of the day, he does have a heart. He does care.
Yes.
And all this stuff.
Yes.
I saw this one where it was like, he's like, 500 years, all your friends are dead. What do you have then?
What would you have then?
And then someone changed it, and they said, GTA 5, Dad. I'll have GTA 5.
For those who don't know, that's Grand Theft Auto 5. Yeah.
Yeah. So that game has been around like forever.
Forever.
They keep adding to it. They just like, oh, we got a new thing here. We got a new thing there. They keep adding to it.
Yeah.
Anyways. So,
what did you think?
It's, it's entertaining, really, in the sense that like the story and everything is okay.
Yeah.
But I think I really like the action sequences more.
The action was, and it's very violent. This is obviously not a show for kids. This is an adult cartoon. So there's blood and guts and pretty horrendous violence.
I think that's what kind of like, it's not like that. It's just, it really slaps in the face of a lot of common like superhero stuff, like, oh, everything's wholesome and great, and like even Marvel with the MCU, the violence it only went so far. Like
it was kind of tongue in cheek. Yeah, it wasn't too serious.
Yeah. Like there wasn't, no one lost limbs, no one's head exploded. Whereas in this, it's all freaking heads exploding.
Yeah,
and blood guts. Like, there's a scene in the finale where they have these fighter jets that are shooting at Omni-Man. Yeah. And he just flies up and takes one of them out. And Invincible, who is his son, saves one of the pilots.
Yeah.
Brings him down. He goes, oh my gosh, I really, almost died there. And he goes, yeah, I saved you. Then Omni-Man, his dad, comes down and just walks up to the pilot and just blows up his head with his hand.
Crushes his head. Yeah, like, it doesn't fucking matter,
And it was like, what?
Damn. Yeah.
The really rough one was the train.
Yes. Where he's holding his son and the train passes through them. Well, over them, I guess.
So there's a scene, he grabs his son, they go into a train station, and the train is coming and it cannot stop.
Yeah.
So he just holds his son out front, and his son is invincible. His son is the same race as he is. They're called Viltrumites.
Viltrumites, that's it.
And he runs his like, the train's just going, and everyone's just, they can't stop.
Yeah.
So it's basically like it's just a bunch of bodies flying through them.
It just rips through everybody in the train,
and there's just
total
blood
carnage.
Everywhere. Yeah. And then it's just like his way of kind of trying to, not necessarily desensitize, but it's kind of showing him like, I don't care about these people. They could all die. I don't care.
Yeah. It's dark. So I mean, even as you say, the Marvel thing, I remember there was a scene with Iron Man or something, and he just kind of shoots this guy and he flies off, and like, man, that's it diminished the seriousnness of the threats and stuff like that. Yeah. I always used to give DC props for that, because at least they were willing to go dark, and you got to make real consequences.
Batman versus Superman.
Yeah.
You see the scene where Bruce Wayne sees that building falling down after like Zod's laser vision cut through it, and you hear people screaming.
Yeah, that was the catalyst. Yeah, but I mean, you see the cost of it. You see the battle of the gods and stuff. You didn't get that sense in Marvel, so I agree with you. So in this, you see that as well. These are pretty much unstoppable powers. They could do what they want. There's a great line in one of those, not this movie, but another series I saw with a superpowered guy. And he talked about he's living amongst papier-mâché people, paper people, because he's so strong. That image was put through so well in this. Like they're just so strong and so powerful. You could run a train through them, right? Like, and kill everybody inside, and it's like it doesn't matter. And I thought that was well put across.
Someone made a funny meme. Omni-Man ran a train on his son.
Yeah. As I was saying that, it's like, that is something I thought of.
One of the scenes that people thought was really intense was so there's a couple episodes where Invincible is like fighting these, I guess, temporal aliens, these time traveling other dimension aliens, and they have a weird thing where like they can't survive in our timeline, our time space for some reason. So these guys who have like accelerated time, they just keep getting stronger and stronger and stronger. So they keep coming back even better. Yeah. And it's like this weird little storyline of just these aliens that like keep improving upon themselves to become better and better at invading Earth.
Yeah.
And then Omni-Man just comes in and wipes them all out. But
pretty much fucks up their planet.
But the whole process is so weird. So he just like flies into their like dimension portal. Or something.
Yeah.
And Invincible is like, what? Dad's
he's
gone. He goes
out.
home. Goes home and mom's like, oh, it's not a big deal. Oh yeah, he'll be back. He'll be late for dinner.
So what do you say? Yeah, so he's like, Mom, Dad has been sucked into the portal and whatever. And she's like, oh, so he's gonna be late for dinner? And he's kind of like, what? And she made some comment like, oh yeah, if it was serious, it would have been this. But fighting aliens in another world, that's just Tuesday,
So he's there, and he flies
them off.
He flies so fast that he's literally ripping apart. You
like
can fly so
cities
fast that you can literally incinerate everything around you. I think it's the air particles basically become energized and just it's energy. So he's destroying all their cities, and you see him. He's there for a while. He even says that this is a really interesting line. He goes, because when he shows up and he looks at them and he says, Earth is not your planet to conquer, or something like that. And that's when you realize, he's a bad guy.
That confirmed it for me when he made that line. It's like, very good choice of words. I understand what you're doing. But he fucks them up, man.
And then he forces them to make a portal to send them home. And then right as they make the portal, he drops a mountain on them. Like,
like he's threatening them with the holding up this mountain over wherever the teleporters is. They open the portal and he just flies off and lets the thing crash. It's fucked up, man. It was very good. I'm glad they didn't hold back as much as some of these other things do. And they went. It couldn't have worked as a live. It would be great as live action, but I'm glad they did it animated because you could do so much more. Yeah. So it was decent.
Omni-Man is played by J.K. Simmons, who anyone remembers from the Daily Bugle.
Yeah. You serious? Give me pictures of Spider-Man.
Exactly. And I think what's really interesting. So, do you know who voiced Invincible and the mom?
No.
It's these two Chinese actors.
Okay.
And it was really interesting because they're played by these Chinese actors, and then I looked at the characters. So I'm kind of looking at like, well, Omni-Man is essentially like he's alien, but he's playing
he's
like
Caucasian looking. Correct.
Yeah. And then you look at the mom, she's like Asian looking.
She's
look
Japanese
you look at
or something.
Yeah, and you look at the son. Oh, the son is kind of like me, mixed.
Yeah, Hapa, yeah.
And I realize, it's kind of the same way in like by their voice actors too. Like so it was really interesting to kind of keep that consistent.
A little representation. Did you feel represented, Amos?
If they do it right, I'm glad. But if if it's shoved in there, then it's like, why?
Right.
Like that's kind of when like for someone like myself and other, Asians in general, or just mixed people, like it's representation matters if it's done right.
Mm.
Like we like seeing, like this is where it's kind of halfway wrong. They're like, it's because there's a lot of this push of representation just because.
Yes.
Like we're gonna start, mixing. We're gonna start, gender bending or race flipping all these characters or whatever. And it's like, no, there's plenty of good characters that are like, like say, I think there was a talk like they wanted like a black Superman. It's like there are characters that are basically black that don't have to be black Superman that are really good characters you can play. Like there was
Steel is one. The president one is another one. What's his name? Vaughton. Can't remember. But yeah, he's Superman and he's the president of the United States. And it's not Kal-El. It is another Kryptonian, has his own story arc and stuff like that. I can't remember the name.
There's a lot of these stories of other people that make sense. Like
yeah.
And then for me, representation, feeling represented is only really true if it's like done right, done well. If it's not, then I'm just like, then it's just pandering, right?
Exactly. You're tokenizing.
So I'm watching this and I'm seeing it. I'm like, and none of this has to, like, there's no part during the show, as far as I remember, that mentions they're Asian.
Correct. I mean, I think there was like when you could see the decoration of the house. There were a couple Japanese like things in the background, but like I say, it wasn't overt. It wasn't like bringing this point home kind of thing.
Yeah, it's just they're just people.
Exactly.
And it really did. What's that?
I'm trying to remember the Black Superman. Give me a second.
Black Adam. Oh no, that's different.
No, that's a different character. But what's his? I think Anthony B. Jordan. Not Anthony B. Jordan. Something Jordan. I can't remember his name from Black Panther that they wanted to cast as the Black Superman that they want to redo. He made a comment.
Yeah. That's Jordan. Yeah.
It's
something Jordan.
Yeah, it's something Jordan. I can't remember his name. He made a fantastic. He'd do the role really well. But he was discussing it with Oprah, and he raised the point that you just did, which is Kal-El is white. Right? There are black characters, like, Steel is one of them. I talked about him before. They did a movie with Shaquille O'Neal. It wasn't very good. They could remake that if they wanted to. And then there's this other one. I can't remember his name. I was looking for it. And it's a Kryptonian. He's black, and he's also the president of the United States. So literally the most powerful man on the planet, right? He's with strength and all his other stuff, plus all of the political power. So Jordan, I think it's Michael B. Jordan is his name. He was talking to Oprah about the prospect of playing the role, and he made that statement. It's like, look, there are good black characters.
Vaslo Island?
Yeah, it's something strange. It's say it again. I don't know.
Vaslo Island is a place where on Krypton that had a lot of black people.
Okay. I don't know. That's not the name of the character. But anyway, so Michael B. Jordan says he would love to play the like one of these characters, but he didn't want to play Kal-El because it was tokenization. It's throwing a bone. In the DC universe, much like the Marvel universe, where you have the multiverse and you have all of these other ways you can tell this story, why are you rebooting it with the same character when you can give like an actual black, character that has an established story and introduce people to this new character? So and that's when his name was dropped. They basically, Warner Brothers never contacted him to play the role when he made that statement, because it makes Warner Brothers look racist, right? Mm-hmm. You can't actually give a black story and a black character. You got to tokenize. They only care about it if it's a white character that they gender swap, and that looks racist.
Or when they even gender swap too. That's a bit like,
yeah. There's a lot of that going on,
because you can have strong female characters just fine.
Yeah.
I think we talked about a little bit about Wonder Woman with Justice League, how actually Joss Whedon tried to make her weaker.
Right. Yeah. I think he tried to detract from her a bit. Yeah.
Something, and it was just like, what? So like she was nearly on par with Superman from what you could see.
Yeah. Exactly.
And like she could basically beat the shit out of everyone except for Superman, and that's it's other
epic.
men.
It's a great story. You don't need to shit on these things. You can tell the good stories with strong women and strong men and different things.
But then you get freaking the Marvel Cinematic Universe's interpretation of Captain Marvel.
I mean, I ironically I looked at Thor Ragnarok again, which I thought was a very fun movie, and I quite enjoyed it. But the more I looked at it, like recently, I started to realize he became the butt of every joke. So he was constantly being outdone by strong female character number 1, 2, and 3, including his sister, and you started to see that kind of feminist prerogative coming in. And since I've seen roots of that, I know Watiki is doing the next one, and basically he loses his power, and the girlfriend, whatever, Natalie Portman, she becomes the Thor. So they're going down this fempowerment route. And I did notice it the first time I saw it. I quite enjoyed Ragnarok. It didn't take itself too seriously. But when I watched it again, it's like, oh, he's getting his ass kicked by all these women. That's kind of the thing, Yeah, it's he couldn't defeat her. He had to bring Satan
could see like
to basically do the job.
The sister thing I could actually understand, because she's supposed, like, they're Asgardians, so like she's the firstborn, and she helped Odin.
The
planets. That made sense. Like, okay, there's that. She destroys the hammer, fine. But then now it's like, I understand the thing where it's like, oh, like that was just more of something for him to overcome. Whereas now it's like, oh no, he's just fat Thor.
Yeah.
He's just boring fat Thor now. Now he can't do anything.
He can't rule. Yeah, he can't rule, so he has to hand it off to his Valkyrie friend, and it was fun. I still love that movie. I actually own it, but you're starting to see if that's the direction that they want to go in. I'm not particularly interested in anything coming out from Marvel in the future.
He starts yelling at the heli thing, like, strongest Avenger. Nope.
Yeah. I mean, he needed a reboot, because he was kind of a stale character from the previous movies, but you're kind of destroying it.
Yeah.
But anyways, I think we're good. I think we bring it in for a landing, bro.
We are.
Yes.
So
not bad when we had nothing to talk about.
We didn't mention this at the beginning, but we're going to mention at the end. We are, of course, sponsored by Tactical Soap. Check them out. TacticalSoap.com. Use the coupon code 10KRUM to get 10% off. Check out Subscribestar. Go to subscribestar.com/shitload-preachers, where you can get perks for as little as $1 a month, but get the $5 a month so you can get the raw takes. But those are ways you can support the show. Do leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to us on all your major podcasting platforms. And, of course, check out all our links below so you can follow us in other ways. So we do, of course, thank everyone for joining us. We will be on again next Monday, same time, same place, same
bat channel, same show. Bat time,
Yeah, exactly. We will then see everyone next week.
Thanks for watching, guys.